It's Zack Kauffman here. I'm bringing you your first step quickness workout for Spikeball. We're working on specific movements for Spikeball. It'll start with some general work on your first step, making that as quick as possible, eliminating any inefficient movements that are going to slow you down, and maximizing the movements that are going to make you as quick as possible. From that point, we'll move on to a couple exercises that are more Spikeball specific, and we'll end with a finisher. Should be a good time. Here we go. The first exercise we'll get to is really going to isolate that first step. We'll work on making that as explosive as possible, and we'll be in a position where it eliminates the possibility of some of the mistakes that come later on. We'll move to some other movements where we'll work on eliminating those mistakes. This is not one of them. We're only focusing on that first step. So I have two cones. They're spaced out about 7 yards apart. They don't have to be perfect. I'd say about 7 or 8 yards is all you need. You'll start at one with one knee down. So you're focusing only on that first step. So start out with your knee down, my opposite arm's up, the other one's down. I'm pressing off that front leg and really exploding out. If you need to start out by just working on the form of getting into that first step, that's perfectly fine. I'd say you might want to do 6 to 8 repetitions on each leg, just of that, so that you're working on that balance, so you're not coming out off balance, anything like that. You're nice and straight, everything's in a line from your toes to your knees to your hips, so that you can be as explosive as possible. Make sure you alternate legs as well, so that you're working both of them, so they're both just as explosive. We'll start out with about 8 to 10 of those on each side, so you're really isolating that first step, working on that specifically. The next step is going to be the staggered stance. All I'm going to set you up with is one foot in front of the other. You'll have a knee bend, drop your hips a little bit. Doesn't have to be perfect, just a good running stance. And we're going to be focusing on the inefficient movements that really bring people down from this position. So when you start, you want most of your weight on that front foot. When you explode, you're driving through that front foot, and that back leg is exploding forward. Where people make a lot of mistakes is they start with the front foot where that comes back and then they go, or they start with their back foot but they don't explode forward. They start with a step that's not even to that starting point or right around that starting point of the other foot, and now they're taking 3 to 4 steps where they could have gotten the same distance in just one step. That's really going to slow them down as well. The other way that people really slow down their first step from this position is just by shifting their weight incorrectly. You want most of your weight on that front foot so that when you start, you're exploding forward. What I see a lot of times in young athletes is they'll start in this position, but they'll either have too much weight on their back foot or they won't be balanced, and their first movement is just to, whether they drop down, whether they lean forward, all it is shifting their weight, where in that small time period, just those partial seconds, they could have already been moving forward and already been ahead, but instead all they've done is lean one way, drop their hips, get into better position to start, when they could already be moving and be getting up to full speed and accelerating. So just like the other, we'll keep the cones the same distance, about 7 to 10 yards apart is perfectly fine. We're just working on that first step, so you don't need to go long distances right here. Have that weight on the front foot and you're exploding out. Just like before, make sure you're alternating which leg is forward every single time, so you're working on that explosiveness with both legs. If you need to spend your entire first workout just working on those two and making your first step as explosive as possible, that's perfectly fine. That's always the first step. Get that down before anything else. Everything else is going to be complementary. It's going to be Spikeball specific, But if you're working on that quick step, making that as explosive as possible and eliminating those inefficient movements, you want to have your biggest focus on those. This is the part where we start to move into Spikeball specific exercises, still working on that quick first step, making that as quick, as explosive as possible. So, the next one we'll do, the cones stay the same, just about 7 to 10 yards apart is perfectly fine. We're working on that first step, so you don't need to extend that distance at all. You're gonna start on one side. All the movements so far have been just you moving forward. We'll do one more like that, and then we'll work with some more lateral movement, which is gonna happen a lot when you play Spikeball. This exercise will hit 3 different directions that will be very relevant when you're playing Spikeball. The first one is going to be facing forward. You're going to be in an athletic stance just like you're receiving the ball off the net. You're going to explode forward with one of your feet. I'm fine with you choosing whichever one that is. Take that quick step forward. Make sure you're not making any inefficient movements, stepping backwards, stepping to the side, anything like that. Your first step is always going to be bang, you're going forward. For these, we'll only do 4 each direction, so you'll hit 4 of those going forward, then you'll move into 2 different lateral ones, you'll hit 4 each direction. So lateral's just moving side to side. You're gonna start out facing forward, same thing in that athletic stance. When you open, your first step is with your outside foot. I'm going here to my left, so I'm opening up in that direction. The reason we do that is if you're in a game and you step the other direction, you step over here, and anything happens when the ball comes the other direction, you're in a terrible position right now. You're gonna have to take extra steps to turn around, do some kind of weird spin move. You are not in a good position. So, you're opening your hips first, and then you're exploding right out of that sprinting stance. So, you'll do 4 of those each direction. For the finisher here, I've created a 5-cone semicircle. If you look over here, there's an orange cone, yellow, a big cone, blue, and red. Those 5 are spaced out there. The orange and red ones, just like before, they're about 7 to 10 yards apart. Right now they're about 7, so the camera can see them better. You can extend them a little more if you'd like. What you'll do on this is you're starting directly in the middle, in that athletic stance we've been working on. You want to do this with a partner. If you don't have a partner, you're fine to do it on your own and just pick them out as you go. But it works better with a partner, so you have to react to what's happening and you don't have a system that you're going through. So you're starting in that athletic stance. They will call out one of the cones, one of the colors that you're running to. As soon as that's called, if they call yellow, I'm sprinting there, touch it, get back right into that athletic stance. As soon as I'm back, they're calling another color. They call red, bang, touch, I'm back to the middle, I'm set. Keep it moving, hit all 5, and then relax. So go through all 5, boom, 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 done. Get a little rest in, get back at it. Yellow. Red. Orange. Blue. Big. Finish with about 8 of those where you go through all 5. If you need an additional challenge, the next step up is staying in the same athletic position, but you're gonna turn your back the opposite direction. Face that way, make sure you're a couple of steps forward so you can't see the cones out of your peripherals. Your partner will call out the colors just the same. You'll just have to turn around, make a reaction. In order for this to work most effectively, when you turn, pick a direction you're already going. It's much better to do it that way and have to change direction than for you to flip around and figure out where to go and then go.